just imagine right now you just bought a new Rolls Royce, brand new, and you're so happy about it, and all of a sudden you just go into social media and somebody just bought a private jet. So if you're not careful, social media can steal your joy. And last but not the least, success itself is straight up freedom.
Yes.
Freedom of time, freedom of choice, and
Yes.
freedom to live purposefully.
I love that.
So if you don't have freedom, then I can consider, I might not say now, but right now you are unsuccessful yet. Not yet. So even if you're a billionaire and you don't have that freedom of time, freedom of choice, and freedom to live purposefully, you can't speak your truth because you know you're going to lose your job.
Greetings, I am Erin Patton, also known as Master L, and welcome to today's special episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast. I am so honored to be back on the show. I feel like I've been gone for a minute, even though it's probably only been a couple weeks. But I've just been working through so many amazing things, having just celebrated my solar return, my birthday a few days ago, and also the launch of my beauty brand, Raw Beauty. And I'm just so honored to be back on the podcast and having a special guest with me today. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and also to our show. Like this video, share it if you feel so called. Also leave us messages and comments. We love to hear from you guys. And without further ado, I would love to welcome a very special guest to our show because we rarely have men on our show. Okay, Jay? So I'm very excited to have you. So we're having Jay on our show and say, hey, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Hello.
Hey,
Yeah.
so Jay is managing partner Point of View Consulting, and he's also the host of the Winner Circle podcast. And the Winner Circle podcast also has a business coach aspect. So I had the honor of being on the Winner Circle podcast. That's how I met Jay. And so I was like, hey, let's do a podcast swap because that's just what we do. Podcasters, we just love to be on each other,
Yes.
support each other, and be on each other's shows. And I'm just really honored to have you here. So welcome, Jay.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Harry.
Yes,
I'm glad to
yes.
be here.
And
Yeah.
also, I just want to first start by asking a little bit about who you are. And, I tried to preface him a little bit, y'all, because, we get deep. We like to go deep on this show and we like to talk about our emotions. We like to talk about our challenges. And I know that Jay is living, you're living in the US, but obviously you came here from somewhere else. And I really would just love to learn more about almost like your birth story and like how did you grow up and what brought you here and like I kind of want like the long version of your story if you don't mind sharing.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much for having me on the show once again. Um, I'm used to the business talks and all that, but this is the
Yeah.
first show. Yeah, I've been to that requires me to breathe in and breathe out. All right. So the meaning to relax. I was just talking with a friend earlier today, and I told him I have one meeting tomorrow, and he's like, "Oh, Thanksgiving, you need to breathe in and breathe out." And meaning you need to relax. And this show is what it is, ability to relax and not talk a little bit about so much about business as I do almost every other time. So without further ado, my name is Jay Olarewaju Adewole. Yes, I'm a Nigerian and from Africa. I'm sure a lot of people know where Nigeria is. You must have one or two friends that are Nigerians because I think Nigeria has 250 million people,
Wow.
which is a big number. I think it's like the fourth or fifth largest by population in the world. So every 10 black person you see, one person is a Nigerian. So, which is a great thing to know. And I'm from a place called Lagos. Lagos in Nigeria. Lagos is, I would say, the New York of Africa, where everything
Oh, of
happens.
Africa, the whole
Yeah.
continent?
Yes, correct. It's like the New York of Africa because almost every other thing, like if you've read about, the artists, the whiskey, the Davido, the Burna Boy, all of them come from Lagos. So that
Okay.
means, there's something, even the T word, if you know anybody, that's an artist in the Afrobeat, for example, they're from
Yeah, I
Lagos,
guess
Nigeria.
so.
Not even, yeah.
So Fela
So there's,
Kuti came from Lagos too?
yes, Fela Kuti
Okay.
has a shrine and also a studio. It's called Fela Shrine. It's actually where people come to perform. We have the president of France when he came to Nigeria, he visited the shrine. So
Wow.
yes, so there's a
I
place
didn't
they
even know
call
the
it.
shrine was still open.
Yeah, yeah, it's still open. It's dead, but it's still open because
Hmm.
they call it the Kalakota Republic. So it's more like where people come around and have fun, sing Afrobeat, and be free, you know, and that's that. So for me, coming from Nigeria, so let me. Should I start the story in depthly, or do you just want me to give you
Yeah, we got
something?
time.
All right. So growing up in Lagos, started business consulting. Not business consulting. Okay, let me just start. Went to high school, traveled back and forth. United States, the UK, back and forth. But still, yet I'm
Okay.
still, grounded in Nigeria. Did a program also at the UK because I have a lot of family there in the United Kingdom, which is London. So, and also I have, quite a number of family over here too. So I was back and forth, growing up with friends. You know, I knew that I wanted to go into business. All right. How I'm gonna get there, I didn't really know how I'm gonna get there. All right. Yeah, because what I've been programmed to, what I've learned from school is like, okay, just get a good job and get busy and work till you die. You know, and
Mm.
probably you get, and that's been the thing I know that a lot of people around me knows, like just, get busy, get job, but I felt like, okay, so you mean I'm just gonna get busy, get a job, and I'm gone? No, I'm not. No, I really believe something is better to life than this. So I started doing
Okay.
research. So I studied. I decided that okay, two things. I want to do business, and I would love to do politics. Either way, because I really feel that I can change the world. I can change how things are done in my own way. I can see the world in my own way through those, either of the two. Probably business, you bring a structure, a concept or idea that can impact the world, or probably political leadership. You can lead people or come up with something, change people's perspective, or not everybody's perspective, some people's perspective about certain ideology, and you can change the world through that way. So I just feel like I there's an impact I'm gonna do, but I don't see myself going to work morning and come back tonight and I'm gonna do so much of impact as I then. So I did a program, went to college, um, did some postgraduate programs also, all of them in either politics or business. All right, and it got to a point I just felt like okay, I've started business. I had a fashion brand way back then. As a matter of fact, I was the organizer of I had a fashion brand called Fashion Instinct. We had models, like any models then, way back in Africa. And I say Africa because, Nigeria really determined what happened. So I'm like in um what's the name? Cape Town Fashion Week. Next minute I'm in Accra Fashion Week. So like
Hmm.
I'm in Abidjan, the Afro. So I'm all there because I was in the fashion industry. That's where I started business first. That's the business I started first.
So did I.
And
That's so cool.
yeah, yeah. So I love the fashion itself. So it's called Fashion Instinct. So we had a modeling agency also that we actually train models, and also we had a clothing label too. So that we did quite a number of things in that world, and also we organized the West African Fashion Awards, which was an award that we actually recognized a lot of people doing impact in that part of West Africa. Like makeup artists, you know, designers that and that was about. I'm saying like that was about it's 17 years ago. because my first business was registered at I think 20 years ago, you know, and that was a long time ago because I was interested in business right from scratch. So after I left business, and I'm like, well, after I got to a point, I felt like, you know what, I want to go further because anytime I see any person's business, all right, that is not going the way I wanted, I always just give them advice that, okay, why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it this way? And it works. All right. I keep doing this. Then way before we had Google as much that Google, I used to write business plans, like come up with business plans because I I have a master's and I did other programs too. So apart from that itself, I just don't know how it comes to my head, and I just come up and they work with it and it works. I'm like, all right. So many years ago, I think about 12, 13 years ago, I moved to the United States. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I've been back and forth, and I decided that, you know what, maybe I should just stay this time and really, try to. Because I already love the African market because I know the players. So I know the United States market might be tough. I'm like, okay, this market is very huge. How many market share can I really get in what I'm trying to do? So it took me, I decided, okay, I'm going to stay, because I had family here anyways. So I decided to stay in the United States for a while. And it took me 3 years. All right. I had to work in a consulting firm to understand how things work, which was totally different from, the way it's done in Africa. Because most times in Africa, most business is owned by one person, and we don't really believe in having like share percentage to somebody. All right. So there's only one manpower, and once the person dies, the business dies most times. So that's how it has always been. But right now, a lot of people are changing. So now, if you have a business, you have like other shareholders that even if you're no longer around, they can continue with the system that has been built. All right. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna stay here. I waited for. I stayed. I relaxed. I took a deep breath for 3 years, tried to understand the market while I was still running my business in Africa, because I want to be sure if the United States market, which is New York market, which is very competitive, all right, was the right market for me. All right. So I decided I was in the market, doing the consulting. I had friends, you know. Then one day, I just got this little revolution. Just came in and said, you know what, time to get started. So I told the person I was working with, who was, doing good. I was the assistant to him, and he is the boss. Like, but I feel like I am the one doing everything because I was the operation. So I was running the show at the end of the day because I grew from just an associate to even lead consultant. All right. So I learned a lot and I helped a lot because I've been in business. So I understood everything about how things work, And I relaxed a little bit. I asked myself the big question that, do you want to keep working here or do you want to take the risk and get started? So I got started. I started Point of View with Jay. That was the name, Point of View with Jay. So Point of View with Jay, I tried it. I didn't do podcast anyways. It was just Point of View with Jay. So it's a consulting firm and we do coaching, and I tried it. The first 1 year was a little bit rough. I make maybe like 40K for 1 year, where the other place I was making like 200 and something. So now I'm like, are you sure you really understand this? Are you sure you really want to do that? I keep questioning myself. Then I took a deep breath. I disappeared for a month. I did not pick anybody's phone call, no email, nothing. I reviewed all my system. I wanted to know what's the problem. I took my time. Then I came back. New structure, new thing. That same year, from 40K, we were grossing 850K to a million.
Nice.
Then, yeah. So then some of my old colleagues they've worked with, we work together, and it's like, oh, I see what you're doing with Point of View with Jay. It's really good. So they reach out to me. Let's get started. Let's do something. Let's partner. Let's whatever. So we sat down together and we came up with Point of View Consulting. So we did a collaboration and came up with Point of View Consulting. And ever since then, Point of View Consulting has been thriving on its own. So now it's a system on its own. I don't really have to bother much because I have partners that do their job. Everybody does their job. So that's that for that. Then the other part is the Winner Circle itself. The Winner Circle podcast itself. I remember I started it in 2023. Yeah, 2023. I've always
Well,
wanted to
before we get
start.
to Winter Circle, I want to talk to
All
you
right.
about something about the journey to US
All right.
because you mentioned something in terms of like busyness. And it's interesting because busyness is spelled just the same as business, right? Have you thought about that before?
Sure. I've never,
Yeah.
I've never thought about that.
But it's just one letter difference, like the I and the Y.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And you wanted to move from this place of like busyness and you're like, oh, everyone just gets busy and then they die. And that's really fundamentally to me why I felt like I had to start the Meta Business Millennial podcast. I had to do my work in meta business, create the meta business world, because I wanted people to go above and beyond the busyness, above and beyond business. And so, I really would love for you, maybe even as you talk about your journey to Winner Circle, start to get into like what about your journey in moving from working for someone else at this consultancy to starting your own consultancy. Like, is it still much of the same busyness? Have you been taking more of these? Were you taking more of those steps to breathe? Because I know oftentimes, particularly in entrepreneurship, a lot of us are like, okay, I'm done working for someone else. I can do this too. And obviously you took that leap and you went from 40K to a mil, in a year's time, which is fantastic. But along that journey, I'm sure there were lots of, challenges. There was, getting taken advantage of, like losing money, like taking risks and, and still feeling a lot of pressures. And I'm just really curious about what some of those might have been for you, particularly as you're making that shift from 200 plus K salary to now, barely making it, what I'm saying? Even though 40K is still a lot to a lot of people for annual salary, but comparatively, and were you living in New York too? Yeah,
Of
that's
course,
really
yes,
tough. And
yes.
so, yeah, so I'm very curious about how you managed that
Mm.
emotionally, how you managed it strategically, and what that looked like, obviously. And then maybe you can even talk about moving on to Winner Circle from there.
All right. Thank you so much. So,
Hmm.
what I learned in that phase is just because you're operating it does not mean you understand it. So, I was operating a business similar, but I really don't understand because when you're not dealing with client, the marketing, you will see that you might be good at operations. What about those other ones? And that's what happened to me for that first 1 year because I was already used to, okay, I know the process. We have the SOPs. I know how I literally build the system, but I underestimated the marketing. I underestimated many things. So now when it's my turn to run a business, I couldn't run it. Like, I could barely even have a client who's going to trust me, my business. So, like, I got hanged. Like, you know how it feels like the first some people are lucky, first 6 months they catch up. Some 2 years they're still struggling until business balance. But I'm just saying how much came into point of view with Jay then. Like we only had 40K. We
Yeah.
couldn't even convert any client. It was just crazy. I'm
Right.
talking about many years ago. So until I went in, I relaxed. You see the word busyness, because I was busy, because you can be so busy that you don't have time to create a solution because you are busy. And that's what happens to us. Like, we wake up in the morning, go to work, come back, wake up in the morning, go to work, come back. I'm talking about people that actually work, because I can decide, I can wake up on the Monday and say, you know what, I'm not going to work today.
Yeah.
I want to be strict, but I can decide not to. And I'm not going to get fired by nobody. But it took me a challenge for me to lose, because I could stick with 250K. And, the job I was in, I was operations, I didn't have any equity anyways. So, but I'm going to get the 250K. But if you look at it, 10 years, that's 2.5 million. I could literally get that if I wanna in 1 year, or when I wanna, compared to waiting for 10 years to be able to make 2.5 million, which is a good job, right? 250K is a good job, to be honest with you.
Fantastic, actually.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, that wasn't just for me. So I got to that point and said, you know what? I need to step back. That's stepping back for 1 month. How many of us, and that's being honest, how many of us can really turn off our phone for 1 month?
I don't know if I've ever done it. And I feel like that's very admirable to really think about. Like, how do I disconnect, turn off my phone for 1 month? Like, I actually can't even imagine it. But I think that that's not only admirable, but almost like necessary, I guess, for you to say you need to recalibrate. Like, I
Yes.
have taken on this new role. I've sacrificed a lot of money. I've sacrificed a lot of time. People are depending on me, and I need to lock in and focus. And the only
Mm.
way I can do that is by, in many ways, isolating myself, which is not necessarily a bad thing, by shutting your phone off to create that space for me to receive what it is that I need to receive from universe, from God, from my higher self. Because I've made
Mm.
this decision, I'm going this path, and I need to make it work. And that to me is like, I feel like what a lot of people who are in more, I would say, risk taking roles, maybe not your average people, but certainly leaders, pioneers, I think do things like this. And a lot of times, particularly like in the spiritual space, in the metaphysical space where I come from, people are like, oh, I have to cut off family members, or I have to step away from friends, or there are other ways in which they had to, in many ways, check their frequency, recalibrate themselves so that they can hit that next level, get to that next step, go where they are always wanting to go. And not everyone can go with you. So to your point about cutting off your phone for a month, I've never done it. I don't know anyone actually who's done it.
Yeah. So for
Yeah.
me, just like you said, Erin, you talked about cutting off what you need to cut off. All right. So fasting itself, some people fast for they fast for something. Like, I'm fasting for social media. I'm not gonna check my social media. So cutting off the phone does not mean I wouldn't call my brother if I need to. All right.
Yeah.
So it's just there. It's just stepping off that, especially social media. Like, you know what? Let me just cut off this thing for 1 month.
Oh, actually,
All
yeah.
right.
I actually got off social media for 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that was very intentional for me.
yes,
Hmm.
and it helps a lot to rebuild, reconnect, because we
Yeah.
get distracted by everything.
Yeah.
Everything distracts us. Just imagine right now you just bought a new Rolls Royce, brand new, and you're so happy about it, and all of a sudden you just go into social media and somebody just bought a private jet. So if you're not careful, social media can steal your joy while you're still
Period.
having it.
Period.
All right. So Rolls Royce, people are dreaming to have that car, but you have it, and all of a sudden somebody just bought a private jet, and you're like, oh my god, you know, you might lose that joy if you're not careful.
Exactly.
All right. So that's why sometimes you just try as much as possible to know what you call joy. Self-sufficiency is very important. All right. So for me, I got to that point, continuing from the conversation, I got to that point and I asked myself, you know, what do you want from life? And that's one question I always advise people to ask. Like, what do you want from life? So, if you ask me a definition of success, I'll say success itself is achieving what you want from life. If what you want from life is getting a job at USPS, having a moderate life, maybe a nice car, a nice home, that's success for you, which is good. And don't let anybody tell you less, that, oh, you are not doing so much. That is what you already categorize. And your heart, that's what your heart wants. And that's it. That's fine. If my desire is to be a billionaire, that's what I want. You don't have to what I want. If yours is trillion, you want to be a trillionaire. But I want to be a billionaire. It's fine you're going for trillion. Nice, good. But I want to be a billionaire and I want to impact people with that. Oh, I want to be a trillionaire and I want to just flex on my life. Fine. So then, when I become a billionaire, because of the abundance of my heart already, what I want to be, what I'm planning to do, then I do impact because that's what my dream is all about ever since. So that means I'm in a successful stage.
Yes.
And that's the truth.
I
That's
love
one
that.
thing I've learned. So success could be anything you term it so far it gives you joy.
I love that. And I want us to just pause on that because a lot of times, particularly you coming from this very business background, success is only measured by profits. It's measured by the bottom line. And people are willing to get to that bottom line by any means necessary, which is what makes business so ugly, which is what makes business sometimes, really like disgusting. And also why so much of our society is being, we're being toxic, how do you say, poisoned, by businesses because the bottom line is getting to the money. And we don't care about people's health. We don't care about people's longevity. We don't care about people's sanity, stability, if it makes us more money. And so I really would love for us to just even dig deeper into this success that you've brought up because you talked about, making more millions of dollars after starting your own company and you talk to so many, I'm sure, very successful quote unquote people. Yet at the end of the day, do these people really have joy? Do these people really have sanity? Do these people really have stability in their families? Do these people are they really, can they look themselves in the mirror and like what they see in the reflection? And so much of the work that I do is around having that fulfillment in all that we do. And the money, when I tell you is there, it's always going to be there because it's a tool, just like a hammer. Like we're going to have, God's going to make sure we need to have what we have to get what we need. And so, however, that's not the means to the end. We're using the money oftentimes to get to where we want to go. And oftentimes we should be focused on who we are and getting to where we want to go. So when you talk about that success, and I'm curious to understand really what does that look like for you, especially now? What did that maybe used to look like for you and how did that change? Where did that shift happen for you?
All right, thank you so much for that question, Aaron. For one, I always think success is all about how much you got in a bank.
Yeah.
Yes, I always think about that so much. Um, one of the thing, one of the things oh, there's a book that's coming up by God's grace, February next year or January next year. We're trying to complete it, as fast as we can. The book is The Purpose Driven Disruption. It's a book I'm actually writing that focus on this particular word we're talking about,
I love
the
that.
purpose driven disruption. And one of the things I mentioned in that book is I, as a person, you know, that when I was growing up, money in your bank and all that. Then, at some point in my life, right, that was in, I there was a dream car I had in mind. I love a GLE 53 AMG. That's been my dream car for many years. Not even when it came out in 2020. All right, I had an E class then, but I was like, anytime I see the car pass, I'm like, oh my god, this is my car. This is my car. I like this car. I like this car. Until I was able to get it in 2022. I got it brand new. And to be honest with you, right? After I got it, a year after, I still have it right now, but a year after, I was happy I had a car because after that, I really don't, it helped me with one thing. It helped me understand that I consider the car as something I love, like to compensate myself. Oh, I love this car because I'm working so hard. I love this car. I've been dreaming about it. I really want to drive this car, and I had the car. Now you have the car. What else?
What
Anytime I
else?
travel, yes, and
You can
that's
only
honest with you.
drive so much. You you
What
can
else?
live in it possibly, but like you don't want to live in it.
You know? So yeah, so it got me there. Like I'm like, what else? Yeah, there are other better cars, but those cars are not what I love. Like what I consider, oh, my success. Once I have that car, I don't care about any other one. But that particular one is one thing I like, and I had it. And I was like, what else? Got to a point I travel often. 3 months I'm not driving the car until I got a business plan on the car, and I was like, you know what? This car needs to start making me money, and it started making me money because I travel often, and now it makes me money. While I just cross my foot, anywhere I am, I'm making money. So I converted it from maybe a liability to an asset because I claimed that fact that was success. So what am I trying to say is success should not be quantified by anything. To me, I've stopped quantifying success with how much I have in the bank.
Right.
It's more of an impact. It's more of impact to me. Am I living a free life? If I have to do so much of, if I have to do something hard, like when I mean hard, like capitalistic hard. You know what I mean by capitalistic hard?
Yeah.
Corporate
Like
America.
working 100
If I
hour weeks and
Yes, not
stressed
only that
out.
only. Yeah, just do anything just to mess up people's life. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just because I really wanna, corporate America, they say. All right? Work in pharmaceutical, let people not get medication and let them die because I need to make money. It is what it is. If I have to do that, then in real sense, there's no freedom there. I'm not living a free life. So success is tied to freedom. Ability to live free, not lazy. Because we often put the word lazy and free and say, yeah, I'm just living free. No, you're not living free. You could be lazy and you think you're free.
Exactly.
All right? So freedom is not tied to one thing. And when I mean not tied to one thing, it's like for people living paycheck to paycheck, they're not free. When you look at the slave era, like when I look at, I'm not even talking about American slave trade, right? I'm talking about the slave era if you look at the Babylonian slave era, The
Yeah.
slaves are so tired and they're still working. So you can be so tired and you don't feel too good. But you have to go work. You have to go to that 9 to 5. You don't have no choice. You don't go one day, you lose your house.
I love that.
So automatically what happens is your mentality about success start to change. Now you start losing hope. Because everybody that come as an immigrant talking right now, a lot of people, including Americans, you know, including different people in America itself, they are thinking this way. They have a dream. And the dream is, okay, I want to be successful. I want to have a nice house. I want to have a but as they progress, things start to change. Mentally, you know, mentally they start seeing the realities of things. The only time that thing happens is because they've not gotten to the point where they can pause. We often do take a deep breath. Pause. We underestimate the power of pausing. My life, I deserve. I'm on this show today just to say one word: pause. To get anything, because I just told you right now, like I was not making money when I started Point of View with Jay. I wasn't making anything. I didn't even start a podcast yet. I wasn't making nothing. I wouldn't consider something because I was making more than that. Until I paused and I review everything, word for word, everything. I look at our document, what's not right. I changed the niche from the niche of the former organization I work with. Like something similar. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that anymore. I look for a totally different market. And it's like, wow, where have you been? And I was able to build something. So, and that's it. Another thing I also want to share, talking about Winner Circle itself, the podcast. I remember, starting the Winner Circle. I started Winner Circle because I often have a lot of people I coach. And I think one of them was one of my first guests. All right, I do like business coaching. And I felt the need like, okay, how can I need to get across to people and actually, bring them on the show and let them come and tell their stories. Because people want to listen to stories. How did you get there? Because we often sometimes we watch YouTube. And on YouTube, and, maybe somebody's talking on YouTube, sometimes they read script, they really don't care about, they just grab the script and read the script and just move forward. All right. But for the Winner Circle, we have somebody who is a billionaire, a multimillionaire, who's telling you how they got there. The story, because really the story is very important. On the Winner Circle, let me just start from the beginning how it got started. I thought about it. I shot an email to a lot of people I coach. I'm like, okay, I'm starting this this podcast, and I would love you guys to be on the show. And they were like, have you done podcast before? I said no. But I just feel I want to do this podcast. I really want to help you guys also as my, people I'm coaching to give you guys give you guys the necessary platform also. People can hear your stories, how you're able to build and all that, no matter how small it is. And some of them was like, no, Jay, I'm not gonna do it this time. I said, okay, no problem. I said, and because they felt like, okay, you're just getting started. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Then I spoke to a friend of mine, Fernando Vetti. He has the second largest revenue hub organization in the world. it's quite big, has a startup and all that. So, and I told him, I was like, Fernando, I need you on my show. It's like, because a lot of people were reaching out to be on my show because I put it on LinkedIn if you're interested in to be on the show. And a lot of people that were reaching out were not people I would want on the show. And that's the honest truth. So I was like, So I told, because I wanted, CEOs of multinationals. That's where I envisioned for to get into their heads. And, Fernando was like, okay, you know what? I'm down. But before I come in, you need to do at least some episode. I'm like, it's all right, no problem. Because I'm always traveling and all that. So I just grab some people I know. Oh, do you want to be on the show? Like regular friends. Like, oh, come. Interview them on the show. I did like 2 or 3, 4 episodes of, I think 5 or so. And he was able to come in. And we got started. And from there, I interviewed like, I think 4 of them more. And all of a sudden, all the people that have, when they saw the show and they saw the concept, they loved it. They're like, oh, Jay, I
That's
want to be on that
amazing.
show. Yes. So just imagine if they told me they were not interested. And I said, you know what, then this can't work then. Because the people say they are not interested. Does not make any sense. All right. So
Right.
I keep on. And before you know it, now we have enough guests that we are booked till May next year. And we
Oh,
do like
that.
4 podcasts per, you know how it works. Like we do like 4 podcasts
Yeah.
per, twice a week, twice a month. Because we can't do like every other, because, I have to still do one or two things. And we have a lot of recordings. A lot of recordings till May next year.
That's
Like when
beautiful.
we every other week. So what am I trying to say is, because now everybody want to be on the show. Not just because they want to be on the show, because there's stories. There are a lot of people who want to listen to those stories. And we have a lot of listeners that really just want to listen.
That's
Some
beautiful.
even
And I
suggest,
want
yeah,
to also take us back really quickly because we have to start wrapping up here, but I want to go back to the original question around success and how you described it in terms of freedom. And I really want to just highlight that for our listeners, particularly those that are struggling sometimes with determining, okay, well, how much money do I have in the bank? Or should I start my own podcast? And, if are people, am I going to have sponsors or the money or my own consultancy, whatever it is, the success really is about, to Jay's point, about the freedom to decide. And I loved how he took us back to the slave mindset, because a lot of times people are, like you said, quick to think about American slavery, when in reality, the world that we live in today, modern society, is the greatest form of slavery. In that if
you're
you
right.
don't show up for your 9 to 5, or you get behind 1 or 2 months in your bills, then you could be out on the street,
Of
literally,
course.
if you don't have the right, I would say, sort of approach to managing your mind, to managing what you're going through, to managing the legal system, because obviously there's so many layers to being kicked out on the street.
True.
But a lot of times we're so ignorant. That's the whole point of slavery, is that you don't want to educate people about what their rights are, about how we should be protecting our properties, or how we should be protecting ourselves from being kicked out, that we feel like we're beholden to our jobs for security. And in reality, that's a false sense of security, because at any point in time, your job can let you go. And then how are you going to pay your bills? And then how are you going to, negotiate with your mortgage company or your property, owner, or your landlord? I mean, there's so many layers here. And the key to it is really searching for and arcing towards and reaching for and keep going for that freedom. And for me, that's been so much my spiritual journey, and it's unlocked worlds for me. From not only business perspective, but from legal perspective, law perspective. Dealing with the custody issue I'm dealing with other legal issues, banking issues, business issues I've had to deal with in courts. And so a lot of that freedom comes from being able to strive for it in many ways. Say, I am not going to be someone's slave. And then it just unlocks so many doors for you. As you saw with the winner circle, you decided, I'm not going to be a slave. I'm going to start my business. I'm not going to, hold myself back from pursuing my dreams of having a podcast. Someone told me they don't want to be on the show. Okay, fuck them. I fuck with them, but fuck them right now. If they don't want to be on my show, I'm going to find my friends to be on my show, So it's like at every step and turn, you were always putting your freedom, your possibilities, what you want to get to your purpose first. And this is something that I believe that our listeners really value and really get inspired by. So I'm really grateful that you shared that for us today. So thank you for that.
You.
And since you were talking about the winner circle and point of view so much, I would love for us to kind of wrap up with, what you would want, how you would want listeners to get in touch with you, or if they wanted to work with you or be a guest, like how can we do that?
All right. So if you want to be a guest on the Winner Circle, just shoot us an email. Just go to winnercirclewithj.com and click on guests, and or just send us an email at hello@winnercirclewithj.com if you want to be a guest on our show. As for point of view consulting, if you want a consulting service, consultation is free. So discovery call is free. You can always reach out to us depending on what your business needs are. Somebody will take care of it. And also, if you need coaching, I know she's a coach, so so you know how it is. So, and whatever you need, you can always reach out to me. If you need to reach out to me directly, it's j@winnercirclewithj.com. You can always reach out to me for any question or any word you have, for me, and we can take it. And for collaboration also. And my book is actually coming. I know, just like I told you, my book, Purpose Driven Disruption. I'm going to share experience of all the clients I've worked with, case studies and all that, in that book. I'm going to share those experience. So if you need consulting service, grabbing that book itself, you can learn one or two things from my experience as a consultant, and you can use to solve one or two of your problem. And last but not the least, if I have to touch base about the word success itself, just like I said earlier, for business, if you're an entrepreneur, and that's just practical, that's it just defined straight up to the point is when your business works, even when you're not there. That means you're successful in business. That means you've already built a system, a structure, and you build scalability. And that's how it works. And also, when it comes to definition of success itself, it's not just about money. It's building something that creates value for you and your family.
Yes.
All right? And people around you. And last but not the least, success itself is straight up freedom.
Yes.
Freedom of time, freedom of choice,
yes,
and freedom to live purposefully.
I love that.
So if you don't have freedom, then I can consider, I might not say now, but right now you are unsuccessful yet. Not yet. So even if you're a billionaire and you don't have that freedom of time, freedom of choice, and freedom to live purposefully, you can't speak your truth because you're going to lose your job. I'm not saying, say some word that you don't have to say, but you can't decide you have to do it because, if you don't do it that way, you get fired.
Right.
All right. I can wake up as a boss.
You kind of are leaving us with these wise words that success is certainly about having that freedom of time, of purpose, of being with your family, of being in your truth, of being in your own business. Or if you're having to be working for a company, understanding like this is where I'm at and making the best of it and trying to find your freedom within, within those structures. And so I just want to thank you again so much, Jay, for making the time for being on our show and for sharing with our lovely guests, your coaching services, your podcast, your consultancy. There's no competition here. We all are supporting each other. Okay. And so I just want to thank our listeners so much for tuning in, for sticking with us all the way to the end. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to follow me at I am Erin Patton across social media platforms. Of course, like this video and subscribe to this channel, and certainly leave us comments about how you felt about this video, and also share it with friends, of course. And until next episode, I'm just so honored, and I will, just always just hold space for everyone's dreams as we really move into this new year. We're kind of wrapping up this year and, wrapping up this season of work. And I just really want to hold big space for everyone's dreams. So thank you so much, Jay, for being on our show. All right. Much love and light, you guys. Peace. Did you really love this episode of the Meta Business Millennial Podcast? Well, I am honored, and I appreciate you subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends, because your feedback allows us to co-create more enlightened conversations. And if you're interested in growing your soul now, head over to my website, erinpatton.com, to find all the show notes, links, and free resources to get your energy activated today. In the meantime, stay bright, my friends. Much love and light. Peace.